home, as you can see. It's utter chaos behind me because someone was subletting my room while I was gone. So I moved a lot of my stuff I moved into like suitcases and boxes and stuff just to keep it out of the way. And now we're facing this. So this is what my next few days are probably going to look like, just resettling in. But I wanted to do some check-ins. I'm still working on Between the Waves. It's going well. I still am battling with this feeling of like failure almost, because I am not necessarily getting that many words put towards the rough draft. It's draft 3. It's just changed so many times that I feel like it's a rough draft at this point. But the amount of planning and like kind of like digging into where potential plot holes could come up, issues with the character arc and where I want that character arc to go, that's been going so well. Like I have been diving to depths that I never thought I would. Maybe I'm spending too much time doing that, but for the time being, that's kind of, I just know that I need to be doing this right now to like just things need to be sorted out. There are things that aren't making sense and I need to sort them out before I finish writing this draft. My self-imposed deadlines are stressing me out slightly, but I still think I can do it because you guys have seen me do my writing videos and like my 10K days and like have huge writing weeks and stuff. And when I figure things out in whatever story I'm working on, the words flow like I can sit down and write 5,000 words a day for the whole week, you know? So I'm not worried about getting those words, but I'm more worried this time around about getting them right so that I don't have to, run into any issues later on down the road. But on the other side, I'm also trying to be aware of the fact that I will be sending this to beta readers in mid-June, and therefore it needs to be done. So the time crunch is real. So maybe that'll be a nice change, that since I've like imposed a deadline on myself that feels very, very strict, I almost feel like it's made my brain realize how seriously we're taking this. And yeah, after like not sleeping for 30 hours or so and then traveling for 24, I'm feeling surprisingly good. So I'm a little worried about that. I don't know what's going on. So Between the Waves, going well. Hard to tell that it's going well because of the lack of words being added to this draft, but I still feel good. I have faith we can do this. Also, yesterday, I was listening to a bunch of my like angsty punk playlists, which I adore. I was getting all in my feels, and then I had some like visions for Project Raven, which is a story that I've spoken about before and not even one I'm supposed to be prioritizing. Project Raven is very much like a guilty pleasure write for me. It has to do with a like secret society and a school with people who can use magic, and it's going to be very like heavy romance focused. I'm very excited to write it, and I had some like ideas yesterday during my travel day. I don't know, I'm considering doing a dual POV because I want to see the perspective from the love interest and like how they're viewing the main character. But either way, with that story, I had a bunch of ideas that I forced myself to write down yesterday, and now I'm going to try and put them back on the back burner to continue cooking. It's kind of fun having a project like Project Raven that I know is not high priority, but is a fun project, like almost a palate cleanser writing project, because every once in a while I have ideas for it, and I've been having ideas for it for the past 2 years or so, I think. So I'm excited to like one day actually be able to dive into it and put everything together. This is gonna be such a chatty update. Anyways, I need to clean, and then I need to do the 500 words a day writing challenge and kind of just like organize myself and settle back into life. let's chat with some honesty. I feel like I've been trying to figure out this Between the Waves issue for like months now, and it's so frustrating because I feel like there have been periods throughout this process where the ideas and the direction of the book have been so strong and so clear, and it feels like I've like made such a mess of it by changing things and like questioning myself and going back on things that I just don't know. I feel like I don't know what to do with it anymore. I still feel like I'm close to figuring it out, you know? And I know that if I keep trying, like if I keep working on sorting through certain things that are causing me issues, like I know I'll figure out the answer to them, but at the same time there's a little voice in my head that's like, maybe it just doesn't work. Like maybe you should just shelve this story, maybe it's not working. And then there's, you know, another voice that's like, maybe you're just not a very good writer, maybe this just isn't for you. That voice is easier to shut up these days because I just don't think it's true. I've always been a writer and a storyteller. It is something that like comes up often, especially when I'm in this process of just like stressing over plot details, and I've been like listening to podcasts, and I'm listening and also reading the book Story Genius to try and like inspire figuring out what's going on. And I've been reading other books that have been like giving me so many great ideas. It just feels like something for some reason is not clicking, and I just feel like this far into the process that shouldn't be happening anymore. Like I've been working on this book for 2.5 years now, right? Yeah, like nearly 2.5 years. I don't know, like I know it has something to do with the beginning, how I'm starting the story, and like a lack of clarity around that, because there's a lot of moving pieces in this story, and I've tried to simplify it as much as possible, and I think maybe I should simplify it further, but it just feels like the things that I want to be happening are things that kind of need to happen, but at the same time I know that there's something that I'm gonna have to change, like there's something that I'm gonna have to give up. And there's also like, it's so frustrating because I feel like when I first started writing this story, I did have a lot of the background. And I did have like Amaya's backstory, the main character. I had her backstory figured out. I had the lore of the world figured out, and like those things made sense, and I had a solid enough structure for them. And I think that's why I keep getting frustrated as well, because like back when I had that structure, like that story that I created is completely different than the story that I have now. Like it is so far from that same, like it's a different backstory, it's a different plot. And I don't know, like I feel like it's like I can still feel that the spark of the story is there, and I do want to keep working on it, but something's not clicking. And I think it's because I'm clinging to too many parts of the story. Like I think it's because there are too many things in the story right now that I don't want to let go of, and I just need to figure out how to actually prioritize what is most important, what is going to make the story the strongest. I also keep having to remind myself that like, while I know the backstory and things that are going on with the backstory, not all of it needs to be told like to the audience in the book at this point. Like a lot of it will be revealed later when I write the ending, a lot of it will be revealed in the second book. I think I'm overwhelming myself because like when you're writing a book, you're coming up with a backstory for an entire human being, if that's what they are. Either way, you're coming up with like someone's entire life basically that led them to this point, or at the bare minimum, a certain thing that is driving them to do what they're doing in the story. And I think that that's the part that I'm less clear on now, because before I had that, but then I changed the story. And because I changed it, that motivation no longer holds. I don't know. I'm just frustrated and feeling really down on it, but I'm gonna figure it out. I know I'm gonna figure it out. I have to give myself grace. I also have to keep reminding myself that just because I've written things already does not mean that they're set in stone. So I'm trying to remind myself of that. I'm also trying to remind myself that I am going to be sending this to beta readers, and I have to trust that getting insight from other people and like getting feedback from those beta readers is going to be very helpful, and it's probably going to help me like see the bigger picture that I'm currently missing because I'm like so deep in the weeds right now. But yeah, I have to trust that I'll figure it out because I'm putting the work in. Like I'm putting so much brainstorming and exploration and figuring out what the problems are and where the pieces aren't moving or fitting correctly. I'm putting so much work into that right now, and I know that like I'm going to be getting beta readers, and the purpose of the beta readers is for like developmental purposes, you know. It's not a proofreader, it's not like the final version. I think I struggle a lot with like trusting other people. We're getting real deep, but I think I struggle a lot with like opening myself up to other people and feedback before I'm at a certain point with my artwork, especially, which I know that I need to work on, and I need to find, you know, critique partners and beta readers and stuff that I really trust, because that is such an important part of telling a story in the format that I'm trying to tell it, like in this long novel version. Writing a book is hard, y'all. If you're writing a book, good for you. I keep going. We'll get there. There's gonna be times like this that it's just such a struggle. It's such a funny thing, but it's moments like this that reassure me that I'm doing it for the right reasons, like that reassure me that I'm writing stories that I want to publish because like that is what I feel like is my purpose as a storyteller. Like this is what I want to do. I want to share stories with other people. I want to share stories that inspire people. I want people to get lost in these like beautiful fun worlds and experience these emotions and like learn something and feel like they're comforted or excited or falling in love or able to deal with like certain aspects of grief and other like negative themes and stuff that I deal with in books. I want to be able to like bring stories like that to people. And the fact that I put so much time and effort into figuring this out, especially at this point and for the past like 4 years, knowing that like I'm not getting money from this right now. Like I am actively earning less money in my life right now so that I can keep working on this and putting more effort into it, and that is like, that's a very reassuring thing. I feel like it means that I'm like dedicating myself to something that really matters to me. So I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm working through this. I know I'm gonna figure it out. I still just have such like a deep belief and excitement for this world. I know I'll figure it out and that it'll be great, especially if I keep prioritizing it like I have been the past couple of weeks. But I also know that I need some other people on my team at this point, I think, and I need to simplify. Like in the future, my plotting is going to be beautiful and simple, yet fleshed out as much as I possibly can without overcomplicating things. This process is like already wildly changing the way that I'm setting up other books that I'm working on, like the way that I'm approaching other projects, which is good. It's learning, but also learning is hard sometimes. On a more positive note, I started reading Kingdom of the Wicked a few days ago. I think the day I got back maybe. So you should all be proud of me because I finished Kingdom of the Wicked in like 2 days, and then I was like, I'm gonna go and get the second book, but I'm not gonna buy it because I'm being responsible. So I ended up getting it from the library and the third book from the library. So you should be proud of me. And I feel like the universe rewarded me for going and getting it from the library, because I opened, oh, you can see the note just fell out. I opened up the book from the library, which this is also such a magical thing about libraries, is that like, you know that so many other people before you have read that very book, and like, it feels like they've like put their energy into the book, you know? And this little note fell out of Kingdom of the Wicked, and it says, "Hello friend, you are in for one hell of a series. The second book was my fave. I hope you love it. Have a lovely day," with like a smiley face. And that made my day yesterday when I grabbed it, because I just thought that was so cute, and it just like reminds me of the community that I love so dearly when it comes to like reading fantasy and just the magic of a library. You would never get that if you bought a new book. So I'm gonna try and do some of my freelancing work for a bit and maybe take a break from racking my brain for Between the Waves. Then I'll check back in. I hope you enjoyed that wildly long discussion of my fears and insecurities around writing this book right now and figuring it out and all my frustrations. Anyways, maybe actually I'll finish reading this chapter. I started it yesterday, so we're doing a great job of prioritizing reading, that's for sure. It is now Saturday. Earlier this week, I was definitely feeling discouraged and stressed out, and while it's not like I've had any big breakthroughs, like I'm still struggling with the same thought that I was struggling with before, but I feel like that lack of hope has been replaced with a fiery determination. I'm gonna get this story done. I'm gonna figure this out. Things are gonna work. I'm gonna trust my beta readers. It's gonna be wonderful. So I have been settling back into being home. I'm gonna take a lot of this weekend to basically just focus on writing. We are gonna go to the beach today because the weather is supposed to be beautiful, but I think I'll just be there for like an hour or two. I don't think I'll be there very long. And then pretty much the rest of the day is gonna be dedicated to writing. I need to kind of organize myself. I've still been settling in. Obviously, I flew back on Monday night. So I'm still not fully settled in. I'm like finishing laundry. I'm also gonna put this up on the wall. It's like a calendar as well as this dry erase sticker, I guess, so that I can keep track of things. I think that this is something important for me to put up there because, I mean, the calendar for obvious reasons, because I'm going to put my writing goals and writing timeline on it, and I think that that'll be a nice way to kind of have like a visual reminder of how much time I have, what I'm focusing on. And I also think it'll be inspiring because making something physical like that and making sure that I can like see it always makes it feel more real. It's no longer like a goal that I just have in my head or like, you know, I still have it written down other places like in notebooks and on Notion and stuff, but I think having it like right in front of me where I do my work is going to be really helpful and a good reminder for me. So I'm going to put these up today. I'm going to finish my laundry. We're going to go to the beach and probably finish reading my current read. I read the first book when I got back from Holland earlier this week, and I'm now on the third. I mean, I'm going to finish this one this weekend, if not today. I have really enjoyed it. I kind of mentioned the first one was a little bit, there was almost a lot of like explaining done maybe. Like I felt like it was a little bit of a slow start, but I still enjoyed it and I really wanted to know what happened next. So obviously that's why I'm now on the third book. But yeah, I kind of just want to spend the weekend reorganizing myself, putting my goals on the wall, making them feel a bit more real, working on Between the Waves, and doing some reading. So I am feeling better. I'm still slightly overwhelmed, but trust the process. This week is truly a test of how much I trust the process. I was gonna do a bunch of writing sprints and I feel like I didn't time it very well because I didn't really realize how long it would take me to do like all the writing sprints and then the breaks. So I've actually only done 2 20-minute writing sprints technically, but they ended up being longer than 20 minutes. Like, I kept writing, which is great. I'm at this point where throughout this vlog, which I feel like is going to be so long, I've been telling myself and reminding myself that I need to trust my beta readers, and I know that I need outside feedback right now. I'm just very aware of it, and I'm trying to trust in that. And as I've been kind of like reassuring myself of that and reminding myself of that, I feel like something did kind of like shift in my brain that was like, okay, well, if we're going to trust our beta readers, we're going to trust the outside feedback, and we're going to like find outside feedback just to get back on track with this. As far as like all the developmental stuff goes, then I need to actually do that. Because I guess I started to realize that I wasn't actually writing very organically, because I kept thinking about the fact that this is gonna have to go to beta readers after this draft. And because I kept thinking of that, it's like my brain wasn't differentiating between beta readers and like final draft readers. It was almost like my brain was like, oh, well, it has to be better, it has to be more polished, things have to be clearer before it goes to beta readers. And like, it's almost like I wasn't thinking about the fact that the whole point of beta readers is to get feedback on that developmental stuff and to like get feedback around the things that I've been struggling with. And I know that that's the case, but I feel like it's just taken a lot of like reaffirming mentally for me to actually settle into that fact and like fully sit in the reality of that and be like, actually, yeah, like I'm gonna have to send them something that's not perfect by any means, that has a lot of developmental issues and plot holes and confusions and stuff here and there. And I'm just gonna have to trust that my beta readers are going to help me with that. So on that note, I did end up writing, I don't think I actually tracked how many words. It was over 500 though. I ended up adding over 500 words, and then I ended up editing all of chapter 1, a lot of chapter 2 based on the like minor changes that I've made as far as like backstory goes. I've also added most of a prologue. As I was going through this and just like struggling through it the past week or so, I realized that because the issue comes from something going on with the backstory, it might work for me to just create a prologue that kind of like solves that plot hole and sets the readers up a bit better, and hope that that will be the solution to kind of like getting things back on track, and then we just go from there. So I did write a prologue tonight as well. It's not finished. I need to add to it. Like, I added brackets and explained what should happen, but I need to actually come up with an idea for like how to write that. But it's good, it's progress. I think I also kind of kept getting caught up in the fact that the readers aren't supposed to know as much as I do. There's a lot of plot lines going on. Like, there's a lot of different things going on that I have to figure out how to like properly weave into the story to make them make sense. For the past week or so, as I've been trying to sort it out, it feels like I've been thinking of them as though the reader needs to know immediately. And then I kind of started to do some like case studies, and I was thinking about previous books that I've read that I've really enjoyed, and thinking about the fact that like none of those books, like for most of the book, especially if it's a series, I don't actually know all of the little plot threads that are going on until like the end of the book. Like, as a reader, I don't know what's going on yet. And I think that I've been writing as though I need to have the reader already know what's going on right from the beginning. And I don't really know how I got stuck in that, but somehow I did. But the good news is that I think we're out of it now. And I understand so much more about the story and the backstory and like the lore of the world and how things kind of came to be. So I am feeling better, but it's like 10:30. It is not even that late, but I'm tired and I'm going for a hike tomorrow morning at like 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna go to bed, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go for this hike, and then hopefully I'm gonna do some more writing tomorrow. I didn't film much yesterday. I ended up getting back from the hike very, very late. I mean, not that late. I got back around 7, which was a lot later than I thought we were gonna get back. But we ended up like doing some stuff afterwards. So there was less time for writing last night, but I actually did still end up writing. I ended up adding about 500 new words. I've basically started going through, and I still need to tweak the prologue a little bit, but I've started to go through and transfer over each chapter and kind of reread it and edit it for the little minor changes that I've made. Luckily, the changes are not that big at this point in time. Really, the changes just have to do with like the backstory and kind of like how the main character is acting because of that backstory. And a lot of it is kind of just like things that need to be sprinkled in to how the draft is right now. So luckily it hasn't been too crazy as far as editing goes. So last night I ended up doing a few chapters. I think I got to the end of chapter 2. And today I ended up finishing Act 1, all of Act 1, which also made me realize just how long Act 1 was, because I cut 2 different chapters, I think, like fully, completely got rid of them. And then I also cut down a lot on a bunch of different scenes, and I added a few words here and there just to, again, like work with the context. So that means that with the prologue included, which the prologue is not finished, it still needs to be finished and edited a little bit, but including the prologue and all of Act 1, it's currently sitting at about 24,000 words, which is still a little bit long for my liking. I can just already tell that the beginning is going to be probably a little bit overwritten, and then the ending is going to probably be underwritten. Mentally, I'm preparing for that because I know it's gonna happen. But either way, I am very happy with what I've gotten done today. That's the update. I'm also gonna end this vlog here because I was editing it earlier today to go up tomorrow, and it's 30 minutes long. So my apologies for that. Unless you like long vlogs, in that case, let me know. But 30 minutes is a little bit excessive in my opinion. So maybe I'll see if I can cut it down a little bit, but either way, I'm gonna end it here, start a new one, film a video tomorrow for Friday. And yeah, things are moving. Things are moving. We're doing okay. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.